Welcome to the STARS program, seniors taking active roles in society. And now, here's your host, ANITA FINLEY.
Mark Morowitz, how have you been? You're all over the place. I never know if you're here. I never know if you're here or if you're up north. Or do you have your own plane?
No, but that means I'm doing my job. So, I try to keep people on their toes.
So tell us, what is your job, Mark?
I am a CPA by trade and have come to specialize with older people, helping them, basically acting as their advocate, son, best friend, confidant, whatever it takes.
Well, and people need that. See, they don't know they need it, do they?
They don't, and that's the hard part, is convincing them that they do. That's the part that I constantly work on, because it doesn't work. Most people like their independence. They don't need somebody to help them. They don't realize the benefit of having somebody like me, just somebody to say hello to, even if it's once a week, to make a phone call. In fact, one of my clients is, I think she's early 90s. She lives in Boynton Beach, and when the hurricane was coming, I didn't know if she was here or she was up in Jersey with her son. I called her and I said, "Are you here?" And she said yes. And I said, "Are you okay? Do you need anything? You're it's fine if you want to come stay with me." And
you are so sweet.
She said, "I'll be fine. I'm fine, and I'll let you know if I." said, "Well, make sure you let me know if you need anything." And the next day, her son called me, who's my biggest client, and thanked me for that.
Of course.
That was very nice. I said, I didn't think it was much to do about anything, but just it's something that you do.
It is, but people are nervous because that's all we saw on the TV, and we never knew if it was going to turn around, come back, do something.
Right, but it was almost like well, thank you for thinking of my mother. I said, but I think about everybody.
Yeah.
Except for the people that I forget about, and then they yell at me. So
yeah, right. But I think that was a very good thing that you did, because older adults, especially during a time of crisis, like with a hurricane, just imagine if we were on the Bahamas, which we can't talk about.
Right.
I mean, it was just not to be believed,
You're
was
right.
it? But you did a good thing, and that's pretty much the basis, I believe, of your practice.
I think that kind of sums it up in a nutshell.
Yeah, it does. You care about them.
Care.
Sometimes they don't have many problems. They're not, if you're taking care of as a CPA, you're taking care of their work. But don't you do things without your CPA designation too? Don't you do things?
I do. Actually, just doing taxes doesn't require a CPA certificate, but it lends, for me, a modicum of I guess respect and credibility and honesty and trust, having those initials after my name. But to be a son, you don't need to have initials after your name. To do good things for people, you don't need to have initials after your name. What I'm trying to do is educate people that they that as you get older, you become more forgetful. You just do. I've become more forgetful. Life starts passing us by a lot faster. Okay, as our time on this earth starts to get shorter. So, I just want to tell people I'm there for them. To help them with their beneficiary designations on their IRAs or their retirement accounts. To make sure everything is in order.
But how about selling their car? A lot of them, do you ever advise them, and then do you help them actually do that?
I actually did just get one of my clients' house sold in Jersey from here, because I have contacts in Jersey, and I probably have mentioned this person before. She had gotten to the point where she needed 24-hour help, and it just became so expensive. So I got her into an assisted living facility, and she has, she likes it. She didn't like it in the beginning, but I knew she would eventually. And it took about a year, and she said, maybe we should sell the house. And I said, that's fine. And we got that house sold within 2 weeks, and I had the broker who actually sold my house in New Jersey, and I work well with her. She she got an estate sale place to come in and sell off all her stuff. I didn't even go back to the house to make sure everything was gone. It was all out. It was all gone, taken care of for me. So I do that. So if somebody needs, I try to give advice on, people inherit cars. What do? You know, and because people in Florida, they have relatives outside of Florida and vice versa. When people inherit things, you have to title things correctly so that you can either use it or sell it. And it takes work.
It does.
And it's not something that a lot of people like to do.
No, I understand that. I would tell you a funny story that when I paid off my car, they were supposed to send me the title. They never have. And they said when I called them, and it's hard even to get them to look at it. Well, just call the state and then they'll send you the title. Well, it's something else I have to do, right?
You mean the DMV didn't send you your title?
No. So I have to go and pursue it myself. But I'm in a situation that I can. But it is just one extra thing that they shouldn't have done that. They should have taken care of it when but they don't.
Right.
So if you start adding that on 10 more things, and that's where you come in. Okay, let me just take care of this, right, for you?
Like a valet. Okay.
Yes, like a valet.
Like a valet.
That's true. Okay, while you were talking, though, I was also thinking about the people who, and you mentioned the son that said, thanks for taking care of my mother. Do you have people who call you or who deal with you without having their parents, without having their kids make the initial or call, or do you find it's mostly with, by the way, we have Gary Polk is watching you. Gary, thanks.
Hi. It's most of the time it's from people that I know, either existing clients who get exasperated by their parents and don't have the inclination to deal with it, and don't want to fight, and they usually make the first call and introduction, say, hey, can you come meet my mom or my dad or whatever it is. So,
right.
Yeah. Most of the time.
Yeah, it's and I think and this sounds chauvinistic, but it sounds like you probably have a harder time with the men giving up their independence than the women.
It all depends. You
Really?
know what? Yeah, the hardest thing for a man to do is to stop driving.
Yes.
Okay. I always joke about it. People say, how you doing with the women down there? I say, if you're a man and you can drive at night, you are golden.
That's true. That's absolutely true.
It's for anybody, and there are a lot of people that really need to. I drive around here all the time, and there are a lot of people that need to give up their driver's licenses. But I understand that the roads are typically safer after 6 o'clock at night, after the early birds are done. But
they're not in one way. I have trouble seeing the white lines. They're not keeping up those white lines.
Yeah, that's true. They need to maintain them more.
They really do, because when you see them, then they're good. That's wonderful. But when not, especially if it's raining, you can't really tell where one line starts.
For sure. That's for
so
sure.
it's not that the person is not able to drive. It's just we have a problem with the road construction and stuff.
That's true.
Well, yeah, I know that driving is important, and I think do you ever have a list of people who you can call to be drivers for these people?
I don't. But
I have people who will do that.
Okay.
At least in Boynton Beach, maybe Delray, because when my husband he gave up his car, and he wasn't. I used to drive I used to drive everywhere anyway, but when it came time for him to give it up, I said, well, how about if we find you a driver? He said, fine, I like being driven. So he didn't have a problem with that.
Right.
And this was a great guy who drove him all over, and so maybe that way you can say to the person, don't worry about it. We're going to get you like people used to sit in a chauffeured car.
Yeah, most of the time though, the people I deal with are female. They're women, because most of the time the men tend to die first for whatever reason that is. Okay, so the husband. So there's a widow involved, and used to be for my mother's generation, who I deal with now. They were homemakers, and they didn't go out, and they didn't learn all about technology, and they said, that's not my job, I don't want to do that. So they have more of a need for me than older gentlemen do. So
is that the way it works?
Most.
Yeah. Okay, so let's go back to the need. if you could have 10 tips for people, 10 tips, maybe 5, what would you say to people listening to the show now as one is aging, and what would you suggest that they do?
Wow, you're putting me on the spot.
No, I know. We'll just do one.
Okay, let me.
And then we can go from there.
Okay, I think it's very important to inventory your assets. Okay, keep a list, keep it updated, so that if something should, God forbid, happen to you, people don't have to go searching around, and it could take months. But one of the ways that I found people learn what kind of assets, what insurance policies, is when they get a bill, and that bill might not come for a year. The premium is due. Oh my God, I didn't even realize that my mother had a policy like that. So if everybody would just keep a list for their kids, or whoever your executor is, or your caretaker, keep a list of your doctors, of your medications, of your assets, of any loan, anybody you might owe, and most of the times you don't owe anybody when you get a little older, but that's the most important thing that I found, because the search and recovery is just very time consuming, and could lead to problems. So that would be the number one thing.
Okay.
And we could stretch this out over 12 months, and I'll give you one thing each month.
No, I want to tell you about another one too.
Okay.
Do you ever tell people to exercise? Do you ever
always.
Do you ever look at?
When I go to, I try to swim every day at my pool. I try to swim a half a mile every day.
Really?
I used to
That's
walk.
why you look so good.
Well, yeah, I used to walk, but then I couldn't walk anymore until I had my surgery. So then I started swimming. And there are people that come to the pool, not terribly old, maybe early 70s, middle 70s. They're out of shape. They ride their scooters, and and then I see them get up and they walk. And I say, why aren't you in the swimming pool? Oh, I don't want to go in the swimming pool. I said, you know what? Get in the pool, get your bathing suit on. You're still young. Walk in the pool. There's less stress on your knees. There's less stress on, I know you have problems with your ankles. Go in the pool and walk. Just walk back and forth. Right. So it's always, not that I make fun of them, but it kind of looks like a herd of wildebeest walking across the Serengeti River,
No, that's
and I try to get them to do that. And my parents, were perfect cases. They never exercised, and everything hurts. I said, you know what? The way the pain goes away is when you exercise.
Right.
Okay. And women typically get fibromyalgia, and I'm not a doctor or anything, but there's no cure for it. But the way you limit the pain is by exercise.
Yeah.
And it's the brain has a hard time with it. Well, I can't exercise because it hurts, but if I exercise, it won't hurt. And the brain doesn't put those two things together. It's a lot easier to say no than it is to say yes.
Right. All right, now I'm going to give you something else. I just attended an incredible seminar called Aging Gracefully. And it was hysterical. This woman, who's very smart about Alzheimer's and about things to do with your brain, she had us all start counting. First, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, up to 50, up to 100. Then she had us do it backwards. And then she had us skip 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and then she had us do it backwards. I want to tell you something. And then while we're doing it, we're having to move our arms. Well, this was really very exciting. It was really very exciting. So I started walking my dog, counting to myself. And it's not that easy, but it's important, because the second or third day I could do it better. Right. So when you talked about brain exercises, maybe that's the next thing you can say to them.
It's always good. If people have any, and if they have a smartphone, and a lot of people have smartphones today, but they don't really use them as much as they should. There are a lot of things that you can do on that phone, while you're waiting for somebody who's not going to really call you. You might as well, do something with word games and stuff like that to keep your brain active. I actually started counting the number of chews when I eat now. Okay? Because I remember when I was a kid in camp, they said you need to chew 32 times before you swallow. Okay, and what I found was you eat slower.
Right.
Okay, you don't gobble it down, and you eat less. So
Sure.
so now I'm trying to do 64 before I do.
Oh, you're not going to get
I'm not
64 out of it.
I'm
No.
getting like 41, 42.
Even 41, 42 is a lot out of something, but you're absolutely right. I used to have people who would say to me, they'd grab my hand, no one's going to take your food away.
Yeah.
Because I always ate so
Right,
fast, right?
Right.
But I'm also, that I eat with another person sometimes, and I'm always finished long before she finishes.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing. So, but do you feel confident telling the people you're helping some of these things in a joking way?
People get to know me, and
Oh,
I was just going to say that, hopefully anybody who watches this, understands that humor is wonderful. You have to be able to laugh at yourself. You have to be able to, laugh at my jokes. Otherwise, you're going to pay me twice as much. But okay. But I like to interject humor into virtually everything I do. Okay, and when you approach it like that, it just becomes a lot more fun. In fact, I'm going to be a guest lecturer at the Boynton JCC in December, and I think the subject that I'm talking about is finances and fun, something like that.
That's great. Do you
So
want to make
I'm gonna
more
make
speeches? Because I can find you more speeches. I didn't know that.
I would love to speak.
Okay.
And I would, I think I'm going to use that and make everybody count, up to 100
You should.
by twos, and that'll take
Right.
up 10, 15 minutes.
They love that, and it gives it. But then, as they're doing it, say, okay, now, what she had us do is do a No, first you had to put your hand on. Now do a triangle while you're doing it. I mean, I got to tell you. And then she said, okay, switch it. Let me tell you, I was like really having a hard time with this, but. That's the whole point. She says we don't use our brain because even if we do crossword puzzles, it's not the same. She said you need to activate the neurons.
You got to do line dancing. It's the same kind of a thing. You got to concentrate on going left, right, stuff like that.
Do you dance like that? You like
Well,
that?
I did. We had our Labor Day party at my place last weekend, and
they did line dancing.
But they did. Well, I forgot the song that they do.
Right.
And it was the first time because I can never follow that stuff. But you know what? I don't think anybody was watching me. So whatever I was doing, I got it. I picked it up pretty quick. But those are really good.
You're right.
for things like that. So
it is, and so okay. So we covered a few other things.
Yeah.
How about this is?
By the way.
Yeah.
All the older women who live, I'm in an over 55 community, and they all wanted to dance with me that night. So.
Oh my God! Well, that was good for you.
Yeah,
then.
they said, "Where'd you learn how to dance?" And I said,
right. Well, that's a very good thing.
It must be in the blood.
It must be in the blood. Are you Hungarian?
No.
Okay.
My mother was Romanian.
See, well, that's that's where it was very close
so.
to. Yeah, that's part of it. Okay, now let's. What about people who you've known and all of a sudden they start dating somebody? An older person meets another older person. How do you handle that? And are you watching? Because I know from talking to people on the internet that there are a lot of scams out there with people.
Right.
So how do you handle that?
I tell them not to sign anything. Okay, after a few dates, people come in. They say, they put something in front of them, sign, for the bank account, or get me on your telephone plan, or something.
Yes.
And that's the way it starts. I said, before you sign anything, you come give it to me.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, see, because that's a very important tip. I think that should almost go first.
Yeah, that probably should. I haven't had many people,
Well, maybe they're not saying anything to you about it, but telling them ahead of time.
And then I say, make sure you use protection. That's,
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
See, that's the other thing that's happening.
Right.
But let's go back to the fraud. I have a friend who was on one of the dating things, and it seemed like the person was really great, and she would share some of that with me. And nevertheless, it always happened that, I have to have this bank account, and I need someone that needs to do this, and I'm going to give you my passport to see it. Oh, no. She just said, no way, I'm not doing anything. So and this person was talking for probably 2 months.
Yeah.
And inevitably, it's something.
Yeah, and typically it's the men out there that are
Yes.
charmers,
Yeah,
and
it's the men.
they'll charm you.
Yeah.
They know exactly what you want to hear, and
Exactly.
they make you feel young again, and they
Yes.
make you feel wanted. And the next thing you know, you've lost your money and he's gone.
Very much so.
Okay.
Or they want to get in bed with you right away.
I don't know about that. I mean,
Well, that's
you know,
what she told me. That's what
I
that-
know I pay for the sins of all the bad guys out there. You know, I'm not like that, but you know they are. So.
But see, so we're covering a lot of things that if someone doesn't know how to speak to someone about, they might not talk to their female friends about any of this.
True.
But they'll talk to you because you are like their son, but you're even better than their son.
And I'm like an older brother.
Yeah.
You know, the only women that didn't talk to me about stuff like this were women that either wives or girlfriends or whatever that didn't share with me. For some strange reason, they found it difficult. But
Yeah.
you know, these are things that people don't think about. And you know, as far when you said about you know, going to, you know, sleeping with somebody right off the bat, I've heard horror stories from women who live in my community that, you know, these 85-year-old guys come over and like their hands are all over them. I'm like, wow, that's like gives me a lot of hope for the future. But I mean, that's crazy. I mean, you know, those are the things that
Right.
15-year-olds did. You know.
Yeah.
and
Well, I guess, you know.
And by the way, you know, in the villages.
I know.
Okay.
I know what you're going to tell me.
Right. I mean, you know, the
loaded
incidence of
Yeah.
STDs is just
Yeah.
unbelievable. And and I wondered, how does that happen? But I guess people figure all it takes is one. There's you know, patient zero, right?
Yeah.
And I guess, you know, women can't get pregnant when they're
Right.
you know, older, in their 60s, and they're just.
Right.
I mean, it's fun. I guess they're living their dream, but.
So let
it's
me
so
ask
bad.
you though, as a male, and you'll be able to respond. You're a certain way, and just because you get older, you're not going to change. It's the way you've always been. I always say that.
Correct.
If someone is not a very nice person, they say, well, they're older. No, they weren't a very nice person before, right?
Correct. The leopard doesn't change its
No,
spots.
exactly. That's a good point.
You are, you know, I mean, and I finally like who I am, so I'm certainly not going to change now. But most people don't. Your personality is developed when you're growing up, and you know, when you get older. That bothers me to a certain extent. That, like, you know, I say, well, you should know better by now. Why don't you have more compassion? You know, you're older, and people just don't.
No,
just
because
don't.
it's what they were. I just want everyone to know this wonderfully articulate and special guy is Mark Morowitz, and he really is. And I plead with you that if you really want someone in your life who can help you think through things, whether it's financial or just emotional, Mark is very, very clever. He's very kind, and he knows a lot of people who could help you. It's worth your calling him. Have one session, talk with him. He'll direct you to the right places. If you are looking for a speaker, Mark would like to do finances and fun.
Yep.
Let me give you his phone number again. It's 609-338-3603, correct?
That's correct.
That's right, even though it's a out-of-state number,
It's a
because he
cell phone.
kept his cell phone. But Mark, and I'll repeat that again, 609-338-3803.
3603.
Oh, that's right, 3603, sorry. Okay, that's right, 609-338-3603. And call him, and he will set up an appointment with you. You'll get to meet him. It could be on any of the discussions that we had about you have a car, you don't know what to do with it, you have things that aren't coming together, you have somebody harassing you, you need your finances looked at, something, right?
And specifically today, you know, when people get emails that, you know, don't click on anything before you call me. Don't ever click. It says click on this and resolve it. Don't do it.
Agree.
Call Mark first.
Yes, because when you click on it, they get you.
That's it. You're done.
Yeah. I have a home phone, and a lot of times I can see who's calling, And that's also a big problem because I don't really even give my home phone anyway, and
Right.
somehow they get it.
Right.
And I'm very careful about that too.
Right.
So anyway, thank you, Mark. You've really been terrific, and I think that you got 10 tips probably. Well, now you'll start
We'll do
counting.
one. Yeah, I'll make sure I come up with one.
8642.
Yes, that's correct.
That's right.
I will
I'm
be
getting
doing
better
it.
at this. Then you can do it by threes.
1, 3, 5, 7.
Right. That's what they said. I mean, that's one thing. But then if you make movement while you're doing it, see, that's
right.
it. That's what we have to.
I'll
I
go
learned a
home and
lot.
practice that tonight.
I learned a lot from this organization, and they're only dealing with women. So if you have a woman,
really?
let me know, and I'll tell her
Okay.
where she can go.
Okay.
Because that's a whole thing.
That sounds good.
They call it juicy.
Juicy.
Yep, they got a lot of juicy things.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's really a very new organization. So thank you, Mark.
Okay.
We'll talk to you again.
Thank you.
All right.